Let's go, Laura.
All right, huh? You ready to go?
Yep, remember to start recording.
I already did. Hi, y'all. Welcome to the August 2020 Grant Park Neighborhood Association Telecom. I'm so happy to have all of you here. I know it's a lot of Zoom for a lot of people. Before we get started, I ask that any of you that are joining without your real name, that you put your real name in the, oh wait, somebody just added. You change your name to your real name or email me and tell me that you're on the meeting so we can keep track of it for attendance purposes. So I do want to get started. Just so everyone is on board, we have not been really holding meetings. We've been holding telecoms this entire time. And so because COVID is really not going anywhere and there's really no end in sight, I would like to go ahead and start a motion to change the location of GP&A meetings right now into Zoom. So pursuant to Article 3, Section 3.01 of the Grant Park Neighborhood Association bylaws, I make a motion that for the remainder of the year, all meetings of the Grant Park Neighborhood Association, be they a full body or subpart thereof, shall be held online using the association's Zoom account. And I put our bylaws right there where you can see that the membership can select the membership meetings of the association shall be held on the third Tuesday of each month at the time and location selected by membership. So what I would like to do is see if anybody opposes this motion to move our meetings to Zoom so we can call votes and such.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Paul. And does anybody oppose? Motion passes. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So our next meeting will be a legit meeting where we will hold votes and such and probably present bylaws. All right, moving on. Our February minutes will be deferred till next meeting when we'll actually have a real meeting. There's no unfinished business. And let's jump straight to oh wait, do we have any public officials on?
Hi, this is Meetza with Commissioner Arrington's office. How are you?
Hey, Meetza, how are you?
Good, thank you. I am in my car, so I am going to switch screens. But we do have a Board of Commissioners meeting taking place tomorrow, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., and that will be viewed on YouTube. FGTV is our YouTube page, or you can search Fulton County Government, and it will begin at 10 a.m. for public comments. I believe the link is still open. You can find the link on Fulton County Government page or Facebook page where you can go and view the actual agenda and submit your public comment. We do have Commissioner Arrington has a back to school drive taking place this Saturday at Oak Hill Family Center, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we're also providing food bags, fresh produce, and non-perishables from Hosea Helps. They'll be on site with us. So if you'd like to attend that event, you can, I believe one part of it for school supplies is to capacity, but if you need school supplies, you can always email me. But the portion where we're providing the food, the fresh produce and non-perishable items, that link is still open. It is on Eventbrite, and also on, I'll make sure I include the link in the chat as well, but it's on our Facebook page, Commissioner Marvin Aronson Jr., and the website, FultonCommission5.com. Do you have any questions or comments for Commissioner Arrington?
Let me check the chat real quick. No, it doesn't appear anybody has any questions.
Okay.
But if you wouldn't mind posting that so I can post it on our social media for anybody that needs school supplies and
Okay.
such.
Yes, thank you. Have a
Thank
good night.
you.
You're welcome.
You too. All right, is David on the line or Carla? Doesn't look like it. So let's move to public schools. Oh wait, look, there's Leslie Grant. Hey Leslie, we were just about to do a public official update. Do you have anything, or do you want to just introduce Chuck Meadows?
Yeah, happy to introduce Chuck Meadows. Hey, Chuck. Chuck is the executive director of the Atlanta Neighborhood Charter School. And Atlanta Public Schools is starting back to virtual school on Monday. This week, we're doing a ramp up, making sure that everybody has what they need to be successful on Monday. It is a late start to the school year, but it's very important that we make sure that everybody is going in the right direction, and grateful to our new superintendent for having the forethought to understand that we need to be virtual and commit to that for the first 9 weeks of school. So, and I am always happy to take questions, and we'll look in the chat. And I have community coffees monthly, so I'll send some information to share about that if anybody wants to talk. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Chuck, I'm unmuting you. You're good to go.
All right. Good evening, everybody. And thanks for the invitation. And I'll also bring apologies on behalf of Atlanta Neighborhood Charter School. We haven't been an active part of these meetings before, but I will let you know that our governing board did change our meeting schedule this year so that we would no longer conflict with the meetings of the Grant Park Neighborhood Association. So that was something that we felt like, honestly, it should have been done a while back, but it was good to do so that we can be better neighborhood partners. We're proud to be one of the public school options serving Grant Park, and we are Grant Park, Ormwood Park, and Summerhill. We are, like most other schools, opening our doors virtually. So unfortunately, we won't be physically interacting with our students, but we've been planning over the past few months or so to provide them the best virtual experience that we possibly can. And our first day of school is on August the 24th. Anything in particular you wanted an update on or me to touch on, or?
Well, so I thought if anybody had any questions, they could do it in the chat and we could ask them, but it doesn't look like anybody does anybody have any questions for Chuck Meadows? I think it would be beneficial if we posted that link from MITSA about anybody needing school supplies. I think that would be helpful. Does anyone have any questions? Oh wait, Steve Carr has a question. Yeah, let me unmute Steve real quick. Hey Steve, you're unmuted.
What are you doing with the phone at the table?
Steve.
I have a question for Leslie Grant.
Oh, okay. Leslie, are you still on the line? Yes, you are. Okay.
Yep.
Am I muted? Am I unmuted?
I can
No,
hear
you're
you.
unmuted.
Go ahead.
Go.
Okay, that's not my question. My question for Leslie Grant involves the people, usually younger boys, that's selling water at intersections. And I have no idea about the different ages, but they appear to be probably teenagers. And I see an educational moment here about they can be taught business skills. And obviously they already know that they can go into an Aldi or a Kroger's and buy a 24-pack of water bottles and sell them piecemeal at intersections. I would certainly like to encourage Leslie and the school system to reach out and teach additional business skills to these people? That's
Thank
my
you very
question.
much. Great suggestion. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Steve. Oh,
While I'm
we have
on, I
another
was going to
question.
say I saw a thing in there from Paul Semo about Atlanta Virtual Academy. You want me to jump on that?
yeah, please.
Great. So a few years back under Errol Davis's superintendency, we set up Atlanta Virtual Academy. It has been ongoing since before we all went virtual. And it was a great way for students who weren't, for whatever reason, weren't feeling engaged with in-person schooling to take their classes online. And so it's been going on for a while. We have certainly not, I guess supersized it in a way. Any parent who wants their child to engage with Atlanta Virtual Academy can do that. It is a commitment that they make for the school year though. It's not, we're going 9 weeks virtual right now as an entire district because of the COVID virus. We will reassess and we may come back in person if this gets under control, if everybody would wear a mask and stop being selfish and whatever. But when Atlanta Public Schools gets back to normal or in person, if you've signed up for Atlanta Virtual Academy, you were saying that you wanted to do that. So you stay with Atlanta Virtual Academy. They have different teachers and different, it's its own thing. So, and if anybody wants any more specifics on that, they, if you Google Atlanta Public Schools, AVA, they have programming pre-K through 5 and then 6 through 12. But there's some, the websites have been updated. I've looked on that recently and there's some good information about how to discern between those. Paul, anything else?
No, thank you very much for answering the question. We'll hold off on signing up right now and just do everything regular. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to be virtual, no matter what happens. But if you're traditional APS, your kid was going to school, you're going to be virtual, but it's going to be with their regular teacher and their sort of regular classroom pacing. And then once we get out of this situation, praise God. Sorry about that. But then once we get out of it, we will be able to, you'll go back in person. But if you have signed up for AVA, they're asking you to commit to that virtual learning throughout the school year. Chuck, anything to add? Okay.
We have another question. Adelie?
Yes, thank you. Yes. Hey, Leslie, just quick question
Hey.
for you. So after the 9 weeks, I understand there's going to be a decision that's made on what we do moving forward.
Yep.
Can you provide any insight on when you'll make that decision, especially for folks who need to plan? If it's going to be going back to school, you have to make arrangements to get folks out of the house and back into school. So it'd be great to have some sort of timeline or at least milestones of when decisions will be made.
Yes, thank you. Hey, Adelie. There is, at our last board meeting, there's a calendar up that had our dates, our check-in dates around that. And I specifically asked, I was like, on one of the dates, which was an October date, they're not going to decide, take the check or, whatever the check is in terms of spread, and then say, hey, it's Wednesday. Hey, Monday, you're going back to school. It's not going to be that quick. So it will be a more gradual reentry in terms of that. You'll have enough lead time that you won't be, it won't be a breakneck thing. And I will try to, while I'm on here, find the link to those dates for you and post it in the chat.
Okay.
But I mean, let's all knock on wood and hope that we're going back. So.
And will we still have, I know earlier during the summer, there was conversation that parents could have the option to opt into continuing with virtual for the rest of the semester. Is that still being considered or no?
I just think it's going to be such a, I think there's always an option to go in. Let me look on that specifically because it may have changed a little bit. I know that students can go in, take a class. Like if you're high school and you want to take an econ class that's not being offered, you can take that through Atlanta Virtual Academy. But if you're looking at sort of a more, like I want to send my kid solely to Atlanta Virtual Academy, I'm not sure about that. But let me,
Okay,
I'll try
thank
to
you.
post the link straight to the AVA thing and maybe you can ask them. like if there's specific things you're thinking about. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like, does anyone else have a question? Raise your hand, or we can keep it moving. All right, Leslie and Chuck, will you please put your emails in the chat so we can keep track of it and give people an option to reach out to you if they have additional questions? All right, wonderful. All right, let's keep it moving. The item 1, public safety. Chris Newman, who got an iPad for the first time. We're very proud of him. All right, let me unmute him.
May I unmute now?
You're unmuted.
All right. Good evening, everyone. We have a couple of agenda items. Just an update. Obviously, Fulton County criminal courts are still closed, so we have a couple of cases that we've been following, but they are all deferred for now. Secondly, I'd like to say that we have a new daytime beat officer, Officer Green, who has been here for about 8 weeks now. He's here Sunday through Thursday daytime. That's called Beat 605 Grant Park. He's a really dedicated guy and very concerned about our community. So you may see him around. Just stop and introduce yourself if you happen to see him sitting around the neighborhood. And then finally, we had some links to accident forms. Last week, APD announced that they were not going to respond to accidents at which there were no serious injuries. And later in the week, that policy was changed. So they are now reporting to all accidents. So we can skip that part. And then finally, we have a new vendor coming in to the Beacon, Elsewhere Brewing, and Sam Kasmer is the owner, proprietor of that venue. They will be going before NPU next week, on Wednesday of next week, and then scheduled for LRB in October. So I invited Sam to come present his venue to us. It's brewing as well as distillery. And is Sam on now?
Yeah, let me ask him to unmute real quick.
Go ahead and make his presentation.
Yeah.
Or his counsel.
Yes. Hi, this is Terry Bailey speaking. Sam should be on too. I'm just going to speak real briefly and then let Sam introduce himself as well. Once again, my name is Terry Bailey. I'm with Taylor Fall Harper and Lumpson PC. As mentioned, Elsewhere Brewing is going into 1039 Grant Street, which is in the Beacon. It's going to be a brewery and a distillery. It's approximately a little over 5,000 square feet. It's not a big establishment, since obviously the brewery and distillery will take up some of the square footage. It's going to seat about 75 people, 4 people in the kitchen, 2 behind the bar, and 1 brewer. So they are going to have a food component. They're going to sell approximately 60% alcohol, 40% food. And Sam's, we tried to submit the application as early as March, and we've been ready to go. And he's been applying for permits, but we just recently were able to get the city to submit it. So he's just anxious to go forward in the process. I will let Sam introduce himself and tell you about him as well. And he's actually
Sorry, you got muted.
Oops.
I shouldn't be muted. Hold on.
there. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was just saying that it's owned by not just Sam, but his wife Sarah as well. So they're the majority owners of the brewery and distillery. So I'll let Sam take it from there if anything else he wants to share with you, and we can answer any questions you guys might have as well.
Thank you.
I'm here. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let me know.
Does anyone have any questions about Elsewhere?
So I know there's a question regarding live entertainment. Am I on?
In regards to whether or not we will have live entertainment, or is
Yes, I think that's a concern occasionally.
Okay. We're currently not we're not planning on it. We're considering it. If we do end up doing it, it would be pretty low key, kind of like just jazz, that kind of thing. But currently we are not templating it, but you know, things are kind of changing every day at the time. So if we're considering it, but right now, yeah, not planning for it.
And that would be inside your facility, not an outdoor patio.
Yes, sir.
Indoors.
That's correct. Okay. Yep.
Very good. And there's a question, you do not have an out, do you have an out patio?
Yes, we do have a patio.
Where, can you describe exactly which location you're at within the complex?
I can, yeah. We are at, so we're at B34. If you're looking at a map, it would be on the southeast, or pardon me, the southwest corner of the Beacon development. So we are at the furthest southern edge of the development, along the parking lot there, and next to the kudzu, for lack of a better term.
And that's along the drive that enters from Hill Street?
Yes, sir.
In that far corner. So I think I know Ron Lau from NPU had some questions, deliveries of materials. That would, we assume that would come in primarily from Hill Street?
The material would be, oh, my camera just came back. There we go. The material would be coming in either through Grant Street or through Hill Street, and it would be primarily going to the loading dock, which, yeah, I got the same thing from Mr. Lowell. So yeah, it'd be hitting the loading dock, which is between the Alpha and the Bravo buildings.
Right. Okay.
Could you, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Ron had a couple of similar technical questions, which I think we can answer next week at NPU.
I would prefer that you have your vendors use Hill Street as opposed to Grant Street, because Grant Street is like most residential. And so I think that you would win over more people if you did that. So that's my only request.
Well, as much as possible. That gate, I don't know what the hours are when that gate is closed.
Yeah, so the gate opens and closes, I wouldn't say indiscriminately, but it's somewhat unpredictable. And I will put a request in for that.
I would,
sorry.
I'm sorry, let me go ahead and clarify. So I would email Philippe, and you can feel free to CC me and Ron Lau. He'll agree with me, but like where you ask that the gate is like you find out the times of the gate and find out for your vendors, because Philippe has that access, and obviously, so he needs to be, you know, because like that was the agreement with using, or with the Beacon. Sorry, with the Beacon was to use to have all the deliveries off of Hill Street.
Okay. That sounds good. I'll obviously follow up with the Philippe about it, and then when we're scheduling deliveries, I'll always put a note in there about delivering to Hill Street. It's pretty easy to do.
Right.
I would.
I can't guarantee that the driver's going to do that, but it's pretty easy to make the request and basically give them more or less a grid coordinate. It's not super hard to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And for larger delivery trucks, it might even be easier in and out from Hill Street. It's a straight into the loading dock.
It is. That turn from Grant Street's kind of impossible for certain size trucks.
Sure. Okay, very good. Thank you. Are there any other questions? So are there any objections to moving this forward to NPU?
Well, hold on. There is a question about the sound ordinance.
Well, if any potential entertainment, it's going to be indoors.
Yep. Oh, yes, it is.
Okay.
There we go. Does that answer that question?
I think so. It's about, hold on, I'm trying to look. is the entertainment going to be outside or is it going to be inside?
We-
The live
It's gonna be
music.
inside,
Indoor.
Okay.
potentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
So are there any objections to moving this forward to NPU? Okay, we'll send it favorable to NPU. Any other questions that neighbors might have, attend the next week's NPUW meeting,
Which is next Wednesday at 7:30.
7:30. And I guess the NPUW has a Facebook or a website, which will have their Zoom.
They have a website and all MPU information is on like the city's website as well.
Very good.
Oh, someone asked, why is it an October LRB and not a September?
I can answer that.
Was
So,
it moved up?
so they pick they pick a date when they think you'll complete the NPU process. Once you've gone through the NPU process, we can request you an earlier agenda. We just have to make sure we advertise by putting signage on the building 10 days before the hearing. So whenever they give you guys the forms, it's 90% of the time it's not the real LRB date because they don't know yet until they have all the information.
Very good. I have no further questions. Thank you. And we wish you best of luck with your new venture.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. That's all I have for public safety. Any other questions for public safety? No. Then that completes my agenda item.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure.
All right. So bylaws, Catherine, would you like to speak about bylaws or I can do it? But I feel like you should do it.
Sure. I can share a little bit. So let me turn on my camera for everyone. So the bylaws committee has completed the process of going through some rewrites. And so that committee, led by our Vice President, Audra Cunningham, who I don't think is here today, wasn't able to make it. Hopefully at our next meeting, we'll be able to present those recommendations to the body for a vote. And so that will be coming up ideally in September. Please keep an eye on your email. What we'll do is we will send out those written changes because we know this can be a lot to look at on a computer screen. We'll send these out to everyone 2 weeks ahead of the meeting. That will give all of the members of the body a chance to look through. And if anyone needs a physical copy, we will also be delivering physical copies of the proposed changes. So thank you to everyone who participated in this ad hoc committee. It was a lot of work and we had some hiccups along the way, obviously operating during a pandemic. So I know she's not here, but thank you to Audra for being our great leader during a difficult time.
All right, thank you so much. Homes and History, Simo? Yes, I'm sorry, hold on real quick. Wait, yes, Gail, it will be a red line copy. I've done a preliminary one, but I can send it to you. We'll send it out on social media and everything, but you can see it. All right, Simo, you're on.
Hey, everybody. Paul Simo, I chair the Homes and History Committee. We meet, right now we're meeting virtually via Zoom on our standard time, 7 p.m. on the fourth Monday of every month. The city's planning department is now officially called the Historic Preservation Studio, and that's who you would go to or Google to get to any certificate of appropriateness forms, some of the Atlanta Urban Design Commission things for doing design work in the neighborhood. And AUDC is now back to their second and fourth Wednesday meetings at 4 p.m. So I'm sure that we'll all start seeing the red signs, the big red signs with the A on them. That stands for Certificate of Appropriateness. It means that a house, if your neighbor or a house on your block has one of those signs, it is up to you to check the date on it, see what's up, and then tune in to those Atlanta Urban Design Commission meetings. Our Homes and History Committee, we do the best we can to try and get in touch with people who are putting those up, or if anybody wants to come around and kick some design tires with us, you can always give me a call or send me an email. Get on our agenda to preview some of the design issues. But everybody will probably start seeing some of those big red letter A signs appearing again. And that means that a house on your block somewhere is slated to be on the Atlanta Urban Design Commission schedule. Also, if you are doing a project, you really technically are supposed to keep those red signs up the whole time the project is going on. Keep them up on the property somewhere next to your job box or something. We get a lot of calls. People start a project and you just rip them down, and they're supposed to stay up so that people can see your number. Also, inspectors come by sometimes unduly because there's work going on and there's no sign out there. Keep your signs up while projects are going on during the duration of the project. The historic, our Grant Park historic design regulations rewrite, the update is still being previewed at the city. And this is just a cursory preview that the Historic Preservation Studio is doing. It's not going to the city for any kind of final, read or anything like that. It's there at the Historic Preservation Studio for their first look to see if, anything that the design regulation rewrite subcommittee, who's been working on this, as we all know, for the last 4 or 5 years, they're taking a first look at some of the work that subcommittee has done. We are reaching out to people to be on a reading focus group. And we've got about, I think we've got about as many people as that group can handle. If anybody is still interested, please email me. But it's just the first stab at industry professionals or people who, like to read these kind of things. It's an initial feedback group. So after that's done, then we'll probably go back for another round of working on it at the subcommittee, and then it will be presented to the neighborhood. So and it'll be presented with months ahead of time of awareness, and a lot of time for people to participate, and some educational meetings. At this point, they will probably be virtual. They'll be in the fall, late fall, maybe over the winter sometime at this point in the timeline of that. So it'll passing these things will probably come through the body, I would say early, probably after the start of the new year, to be really realistic. So that's our rewrite update. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and shoot them over. I don't have my chat window open.
If you'd like to join the committee, you can always email historic@gpna.org or me, president@gpna.org, and we're happy to add you to the committee. We're open and transparent. Please, you join if you're interested.
Yeah. Having eyes on that, people who love to read that kind of stuff. And I don't have it here, but as far as a little preservation minute update, I've gotten a lot of calls from people that they're seeing condensation on their registers. Either they're in the ceiling or on the floor if your AC is running, and you've got drips coming down from your register, or your floor registers are condensating a lot. This could mean one of two things, which could be a problem, for you. You may want to get checked out in your house. Your HVAC system could be running super cold, almost too cold for you. You could have a system that's got too much tonnage for your house, and it's just blowing too much cold air, which could cause some condensation. And the other reason could be that the humidity inside your house or your system is just working in overdrive. And it's just running and running and running. And it's just pumping a lot of cold air, but the cold air is really kind of going nowhere. Your house may not be getting cooled down, but you can feel a lot of cold air kind of pillowed just around your registers. These are kind of things to look for that you do need to call in a qualified professional to take a look at. You shouldn't have condensation on your vents. There's one house that I'm talking to. Their floors are rotting because of that condensation. It's spreading into their floors, and you could actually step on the floors near the registers, and practically your foot could go through because of years and years and years of moisture and rot. So if anybody has that, give a qualified professional a call. You may need, or you may just need to install dehumidifiers in your house and get that humidity knocked down a little bit so your vents aren't condensating. So
Una.
little preservation moment. Thanks,
All
guys.
right. Sorry, my dog is very bad. Okay, moving on. On to land use, zoning, and transportation. Rick Hudson decided to retire after 16 years. We're very grateful for all of his time with GP&A, and we wish him the best of luck going forward. So I'd like to introduce Skylar Hassan for taking over. I'm going to mute and deal with my dog real quick. Okay. Skylar, you got this?
Yeah, I got this.
All right.
Hey, all. So, as you now know, Rick Hudson stepped down at our last LUZ meeting on Thursday, I forgot what day earlier this month. And since then, he asked that I be put in charge of the affairs for LUZNT, and I'm doing so now. I'm perfectly happy to step into this role, and I thank everyone for having hopefully confidence in me to do the role. So the first time we got today, we got a lot of things on the agenda for LUZ tonight, and we got a Beltline update from Lead Community Engagement Manager, Mr. Soldat. Are you here tonight?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. All right. So my colleague Lynette Reed, who's not with us tonight, we're dividing different community meetings and splitting staffing, presented last month the high-level recommendations of the Sub-Area 3 Master Plan. So what is the Sub-Area 3 Master Plan? I'm not going to present those recommendations again, but I wanted to just remind folks this is a master plan that is looking at land use and mobility options within Sub-Area 3, which includes Grant Park and a number of other neighborhoods surrounding the southeast area of the Beltline. We did all of our community engagement from a public meeting standpoint between 2017 and 2019. We are coming through the different neighborhood groups, as well as we will be visiting MPUs very soon as we work to have this adopted into the comprehensive development plan for the city. The plan is in draft mode. There are no proposed land use changes. We're not going to do any proactive rezoning, in other words. We have future land use changes. There were some in the plan. But the plan, I will put the link when I'm done talking in the chat. Like I said, is in draft mode. It's available for viewing. It's the same link we shared last month. And it's also going to be open for comment still for at least a few weeks, if not months, depending on when we get to the MPU process and eventually move through the formal city process. So I didn't go into as much detail for time reasons as we did last month, but we did promise we'd come back, make sure nobody else had any other questions, and that we were available as a resource. I'll also put my contact information in the chat as well. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Okay. I don't know if Chuck Meadows is still on the call, but I just wanted to say hi. Hi to Leslie Grant. Any other questions last moment? It's fun to see the squares light up there. I'll put my information in the chat, and thanks for having me. Y'all have a great night.
Thanks for coming, sir. We appreciate you giving us an update.
No problem.
All right, so next thing. As we all know, LUZ's meeting has been the first Thursday of the month for probably longer than I've been alive. Okay, maybe not that long, but it feels like probably about a decade or more. So of course, change could be controversial. I have proposed that we move our meeting date to the fourth Thursday of the month, which would put us the day after the NPUW general meeting. But this would put us before the NPUW's land use and zoning meeting. So it, saves a few weeks time in trying to get things approved from RLUZ to, maybe get some wording from them or some assistance before going through our respective general bodies. So I proposed that change, and tonight I wanted to see if anyone is opposed to that change. Speak now or forever hold your peace. So does anyone have a problem with this change? Going once, going twice. I'm guessing no one has a problem with this change.
Skylar?
Yes, Steve.
No, it's Loyal. How will this affect like the holiday, like November and December?
Sorry, what was your and sorry, I thought you were Steve Carr because I saw your icon right next to his.
No. How will this affect like the November meetings?
The November meeting. Let's see.
I believe the fourth Thursday would be Thanksgiving Day, and the same thing on potentially in December. The fourth Thursday would be Christmas Eve this year. That's the only thing I see a problem with the fourth Thursday. When we can always move it around, but that you've got 2 months of the year there that are potentially going to be a problem from time to time.
We could do like NPU does, where we adopt a specific schedule, like to adopt for those days. So I think NPU does everything on the third Wednesday of the month, and like the first Tuesday. We could look at it and adopt a specific schedule. That work?
I think that works. Thank you very much for bringing that up. That's a very good point.
Glad to help.
All right, yeah, we could definitely do that. But if we adopt such a schedule, which I'm perfectly in favor of, does anyone have a problem of just the general moving of the meeting date? Does that cause a conflict for too many people, etc.? So let me know if that's the case. Otherwise, I will
Skylar,
try to move forward with that.
Pardon,
Yes.
Skylar, will this start in September, I assume, or you mean this week, next week?
I was banking on it happening this month. So our next LUZ meeting would be August 27th.
Okay.
Which would it seems like it's moving around too much the first time, but it's basically just moving it back a week since it would be September 3rd.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
All right. So thank you for that comment, though. That's a very good insight. I appreciate that. All right. So next thing is oh boy, 460 Connolly. What's been happening there? Well, we've had quite a let's just say a fun time with that project in the past few months. But from what I can tell, we have not seen too much movement on it, except for some kind of settling. To provide some context, a few months ago, the project was deferred through, I believe, June and July. It was deferred through both, I think, both GP&A and NPUW. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but sorry. Correct. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
But we've had some communication problems with the developer. Obviously, they wanted a huge variance. The neighbors were not very happy with that. And I have not received any extra communication with them. I do not believe Rick did either before he stepped down. So I'm pretty sure it's kind of dead in the water right now. And because of that, at our last LUZ meeting, we voted to deny their request because there had just been so little communication. I believe NPUW's LUZ also did that earlier this month. And so the developer had indicated that the project taking place was hinged on that specific variance because the property's just under contract. So it might be dead in the water. I'm not too sure, but I'm honestly not seeing it going anywhere very much right now. So,
Skylar, pardon me, this is Loyal again.
Yes.
There is still a zoning variance sign up on that property.
Oh, really?
Yeah. As
Okay.
of
Obviously, I haven't
yesterday.
been over there. Couldn't be over there, so I have not seen that. Okay. Not sure why that's still there, but okay. I'll see that gets taken down, considering. But at least I have not gotten word on what the city's doing with that yet. But at least both NPUW and GPNA so far have pretty much just said no
I
to it. I
believe
can't imagine the city will.
the developer's contract was dependent on that variance.
Yeah.
And so with the neighbors pushing back so hard, it's hard to say that he even followed through because I haven't heard from him. I don't think MPU's heard from him, so he would have to put in a whole new application.
Yeah, I seriously doubt that's going to really go anywhere now. So yeah, I'll call it dead in the water for now. But that's all the updates on Highland that. And we got oh boy, 993 to 1007 Boulevard, which is, you might remember 1015 Boulevard, which is the apartment complex at the Beltline, right there next to that, or basically where the cold storage used to be, or still is. That's slated for construction. I believe they're trying to start in 2-3 months. It's not a concrete date, but that's a little thing on that. This boulevard project here is a proposal by the same developers to create townhomes on 4 parcels of land that are very close to the project, basically just on the other side of the tree line from the project along Boulevard. 2 of those parcels they already own, 2 they technically have under contract, hinging on the development itself. And it's at the southwest corner of Mead and Boulevard. We have had multiple immediate neighbors meetings so far. Actually, we're going to have a 3rd one this month, but they have actually asked if we can delay that into next month. They want to go through the process a month and a half-ish later so we can get some more input, which is very nice of them. I appreciate that greatly. And I will let everyone know who is within the immediate area of that project, of course, when that meeting is going to happen next, possibly mid-September. So that's what we're looking for that. They indicated they were open to alternatives when it comes to if people are not very happy with the townhomes themselves or want to change the design, et cetera. So we could see some leeway there. I have to say they've been very helpful and courteous to us regarding the 1015 project, and they've been very good to us regarding this project. So I think we'll see some very good development with that situation. So of course, for that neighbors meeting, I will let everyone know what's going on as soon as we can. We got some notices, some regular emails, et cetera, as many people as I can get a hold of in that area. But you will know when that neighbors meeting is happening. So that's that for that. And oh boy, our big one. We got 575 LOEs, which you may remember if you were at the LUZ meeting in March 2017. There was a project at 575 LOEs for about 14 townhomes that was approved by us and then NPUW. And very recently, at the end of 2019 and the start of 2020, they actually contacted LUZ about having an immediate neighbors meeting with just everyone there again, because they were looking to change the project. They're changing the density to approximately 30 townhomes. And there must have been communication fall through or something on maybe everybody's part. I'm not pinning blame on anyone, but there's just communication fall through, which I'm going to blame on the pandemic because that's when the lockdowns generally started. That immediate neighbors meeting never happened, but it moved forward. It actually went through to LUZ. People were seemingly, happy with it, but the vote did not count because the developer had not submitted the application of the redoing of it to the city, the revision, which they very, very soon did afterwards. But just as a thing, they for this revision, they were not required to come back through us to get input or NPUW. They could just go back to the city planning and get their opinion. So of course, but they were looking to have that meeting. It didn't happen, sadly, but just so y'all know, we didn't get sidestepped or anything. They didn't have to come back through us. They only had to do that the first time. So I have a representative for the developer here, Ms. Lowell David. She said she was perfectly happy to give a quick update or a small presentation on what is happening with that project now, what the changes were for any neighbors that may be here. tonight. So see if we can get her unmuted. Yes, there we go. And is she able to share her screen here?
Yeah, can I share my screen? Evening, everybody. My name is Laurel David with the Galloway Law Group. Chris Rudd with Thrive Homes is also on the call. And I am going to try and share my screen, I think.
Hold on, I have to make you a host. What is your name on the thing?
On the thing, Laurel David.
Oh, okay, hold on. There you go.
Awesome. Look at
Thank
you,
you,
very know how to do all this technology stuff.
Millennial.
Okay, so that's so no pressure on me, right? So I'm going to now try and share the site plan, which hopefully you can all see. So the basically when Thrive had this property under contract, we had some initial or rather I had, I think, some initial interaction with Paul and Rick, just letting them know, what was going on, and that the approvals were going to be revised. And we were told at that time that there were some things that had been agreed to by the previous developer that had to do with the pedestrian access, the sidewalk, and some streetscape improvements and some other things, and we're encouraged to keep that, which we have. So all we have done really is changed only on the interior of the property. Literally, our engineers took the previously approved plans that incorporated all those streetscape improvements, superimposed it onto ours, and came up with a new site plan. The actual layout of the property is pretty much the same. Just really the footprints of the buildings have changed a little bit. I think we may have more pervious paving than the previous developer did. We certainly have a little bit more of a little green open space here, green space for the residents. But apart from the products, the project really hasn't changed at all. I think most of the land development things have already been put in, and Thrive is going to work with that and work with the existing retaining walls. At the meeting, when we went to the LUZ committee, we were looking for feedback on the site plan and also feedback on the architecture. And hopefully you can see that architecture, right? Good, thank you. Again, some of the initial feedback that we got were that the homes that were originally designed for the property were too modern for Grant Park. So this is a product type that Thrive has done before. They did a project in Reynoldstown across from the Common Ground coffee shop, which is, this is a little bit different from that, but the quality would be the same. And there's sort of more of an attempt to be more, I guess, well, farmhouse is what comes to mind, but I think it's farmhouse with a slight industrial chic kind of bent to it. These are the homes that are going to face Eloise, and these are the homes that will face Killian, although as those of you who live near there or familiar with the area probably know, the Killian topography and where all this is going to connect is going to be sort of at different levels. So because the SAP site plan was just a revision, we're not asked for anything else, any other variances or anything from either staff or the UDC. We did change the elevations that were presented to the UDC. Obviously, these are shown on a perfectly straight line. We didn't present that. We presented the plans that are more in keeping with the topography, but as you can see with all the black lines, it's a little confusing, and I just thought the other ones sort of pictured better, and I'll show you the elevations.
So I have a quick question because I read a wonderful Nextdoor thread about these units. So they were wondering, or the people were wondering, why you didn't have to go through GPNA or MPU to add the extra occupancy, like to increase the number of units.
The property is already zoned, so we're just coming in under the existing zoning. And I think Skylar kind of touched on this. We got very confused about what the process was, and the pandemic really didn't help things because for a while there, nobody was doing anything, including the city. But we thought, and maybe that's partly my fault, but we thought that the meeting that we had gone to in, I guess it was March, beginning of March, was a joint committee meeting of homes and land use.
It was not.
At least that's what I was told it was going to be. Now, I know Paul, we've not met, but I know he was not there, but I thought he was on the phone. He couldn't make it. Anyway, I know that.
Well, also they rescinded that vote because you didn't have an application, right? So,
right, and we were told.
And they made that very clear in an email.
And that, but we were not told we needed to come back, and nobody reached out to us. I had reached out, what do you want us to do? I heard nothing back. So again, we're not trying to get away with anything here. It is a entirely entitled property. We're not asking for any variances. We're not asking for anything that wasn't already approved by the SAP. The zoning is approved. The zoning is limited to FAR. It's not based on unit count. So, we tried to get back with Grant Park.
I do want to say one more thing, and that's that in the meeting I made it very clear that you should email me, which was president@gpna.org. I said that like 3 times in the meeting, and nobody reached out to me.
Well, I'm sorry about that, but I thought I was supposed to correspond with the land use chair, so I apologize.
Well, I'm actually the technical representative of the neighborhood association, so going forward, it would be best if, that's why I made it very clear in that meeting, but yeah, okay.
This is Paul. And I actually, Laura, I think your designs actually added a lot more traditional elements to the project than the previous developer had.
Right.
When we did look at them. Just to let everybody know, the designs they conform with all of the Grant Park design regulations, and they actually were. I don't want to subjectively say an improvement, but they did improve on some of the also some of the thoughts that were from the previous application, which was very, very contemporary. People remember that. My one question is the Atlanta Urban Design Commission did have a condition on there for you to change some of the siding materials from the, I guess it was like a stucco panel or maybe an EFIS system, or the vertical board and batten systems to horizontal. Was that reflected in the drawing that you just showed? Is that the update?
So we did change the, and I'll get the elevation for you, Paul, because I know you would appreciate. So we did change everything to the horizontal lap siding.
I see. Yeah, that's different. Okay. All right.
That was a comment that we had gotten from staff early in the process. But as one of the conditions for UDC approval was to remove the fiber cement panels that we had, which were, just put in there really to try and break up a bit of the facade. I think they'll probably end up doing lap siding there as well, unless maybe our architect may come up with something that's a little bit more creative, but also in keeping with whatever the approved materials are for the historic district.
I like the flat siding, just to throw that in there. Too much lap, it could be too much lap, and that could just look kind of goofy on all those Orioles. But that's just me.
Can we take this offline because we're already at an hour and we can keep it moving. All right. Thank you so much, Laurel. We really appreciate you coming.
Thanks, Laurel.
Yeah.
Thank you. And again, apologize. We, now have an understanding of the processes and who we should be contacting. And so if we do anything else in the neighborhood, we'll get it right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason our old land use and zoning chair has stepped down. All right, moving on.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Excuse me, this is Eric Van Curvis. Am I able to ask a question at this time on this point?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, with the increased number of units there, have we taken a look at the traffic flow and any sort of what's going to be going on with that development, the development on the other side of the Burn Street Bridge, and having a traffic study now that we have potentially increased numbers there? Because there are, in my estimate, 5 schools where there's children that walk between that entire intersection right there that we need to make certain that are safe. So any discussion, and I have not been on land use and zoning calls in a long time, but it's because I've been dropped off. But anything for a traffic study on Burn, regards to this.
Not typically for 30 units. They're going to be self-parks. They would access from Eloise. Unfortunately, we can't get to Killian just because of the topography difference. And I believe there's there's certainly a stop sign in order to get onto Burn there. So I think the hope is, given where the location is that with the possible exception of going to and from work, most people will walk to wherever they want to go.
But with the other developments that are going on, or is land use and zoning think how this plays into developments that are going on the other side of the bridge, and or how, obviously it cannot connect to Killian Street, but how we make certain that we are not having, a very big issue with traffic that already backs up during school hours at Burn and Eloise, because that's right where one of the elementary schools is.
Hey, Eric, can I interrupt real quick? What about using some of your impact fee for some kind of traffic diet? Could we do something like that?
Doing what?
Oh no, Laurel. Could we do it? Could we use some of your impact? Yeah, for like a traffic diet or a traffic study to do some kind of improvement?
I think that's going to be up to the city. I mean, we'd certainly be open to it, but
could lobby for that, because I mean, you're paying into that impact fee, so I would like to see it put back into the neighborhood.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we'll look at that.
Yeah, and I would love to have everybody, if you want to, Eric, if you want to join that conversation, send me your email, and I'll loop you in on that email, and Skylar can facilitate it.
You got
Sky,
it.
you? All right, Adelie?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I'd like to join that committee as well. And I appreciate the thought of a road diet, but I think I didn't catch the person that was talking before, but a traffic analysis is what's needed, not a road diet. And I think overall, not just for this property, I haven't been engaged in a while, but an overall understanding of traffic and traffic flows is really needed, because I think all the development that we're considering, we're not really taking into consideration traffic and the way people move. And
Yeah,
we're going to be
if
in a
you
really
wanna-
bad situation.
If you want to send me an email, Skylar and I've been working diligently on some plans to solve this problem, even though it's not really solvable, but like we've been working to fix things. So if you want to send us an email, I'm happy to send you out what we have and what we're working on.
Might not be the best time to do a traffic study when everyone's working from home. But
Yes, we're aware. Thank you, Stephen. All right, moving on. Fundraising. Eliza? Oh, wait, hold on. We need to do a letter of support. Sorry, Sky, go ahead.
Oh yeah, actually, I think Laura, you might know a little bit more about this than I do, so you might want to help me out here if you can. But basically, there's a tax payment for, I believe it's mainly 1015 Boulevard. As part of that.
1015 Boulevard, those apartments that are already on Boulevard, they asked us to write a letter of support for their tax abatement, to say that they're a good neighbor, and they have been a good neighbor. They they hosted plenty of meetings to kind of change the look of their apartments, and they are working to do something with their impact fee, to do something with traffic on Boulevard. So they asked us to write a letter of support. And so if anybody opposes that letter, please speak now. We're just gonna write something that says that they're a good neighbor, and that they were, and they came to the neighborhood and asked for, that they were involved. Adelie, do you still have a question, or do you want me to put your hand
No,
up?
I have a question. So you would, can you provide a little more detail on the support letter? Because I wasn't privy to what the letter says. Can you at least give a high level overview?
I can send it to you, but basically we're just saying that they're a good neighbor, and that they came to the neighborhood association meetings and hosted neighborhood meetings.
And where are they located?
What?
I'm sorry, Eric Service here. Where on Boulevard is this complex?
So it's the Skylark. It's right at the Beltline. It's where the cold storage was before.
Okay.
Well, or still. Right, Sky?
Yeah, the cold storage is still there. They haven't torn it down yet, but it's that place, right next to the Beltline.
The Skylark is on the south side of the Beltline,
Yes.
not the north side.
Right. So technically not Grant Park.
Yeah, Joseph Park. That's done.
That's correct.
But they still did hold meetings with the neighbors, and they were very involved with the neighborhood association, as opposed to other developments that just go through without us. All right, can we move on? Because we're at like an hour 40, and I know everybody's gonna get tired. So we gotta keep moving. I'm sorry. Okay. Fundraising, Eliza.
Hi, everyone that's stuck around. Appreciate it. I'll try and speed this up and make this quick. For those of you who are not familiar with Nicholas House, it's the amazing charity that's a shelter that's located on Boulevard and Del Mar. For many years, GP&A, we've been supporting Nicholas House, and we have been sponsoring rooms at Nicholas House, their largest room and one of their smaller rooms. And just recently, I received notification from Nicholas House asking if we would be interested in continuing and updating our sponsorship with Nicholas House. Again, that's 2 rooms, the largest room and a smaller room. So I would like to make a motion that we continue our support of sponsoring 2 rooms at Nicholas House. So
Does anybody oppose? Steve, do you oppose? Okay, no, you don't because your hand went down. Does everybody agree? All right, moving
Okay.
on.
One thing that's not on the agenda, but again, I'll be quick because I just got the information today. I'll post it in the chat, and I'll also make sure that it's on all of our social media, Facebook and Instagram. But coming up in October, Nicholas House is doing their Sleep Out Under the Stars. Let me pull up my information real quick so I have all the info.
October 2nd.
October 2nd. They're doing their Nicholas House Sleep Outside event. This year it's going to be a little different since of COVID. Normally they would sleep in the backyard and front yard of Nicholas House. However, due to COVID, that's not possible. So instead they're asking participants to camp out in either your front yard, your backyard. And if you don't have a backyard or front yard, you know, camp out somewhere. Again, that's going to be on October 2nd. I'll post more information on Facebook about it. To register, it is $25. That includes a shirt, a yard sign, and a cool LED light. So that's coming up in October. And then lastly, I want to kick this over to Gail to talk about a cool project that GP&A, we've been doing some, I guess, research and listening in on. It's a cool fridge project. I'm going to kick it over to Gail so she can tell you all a little bit more about it. But thank you all for continuing sponsorship of Nicholas House. It's amazing. And thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll be super quick, no pun intended. Okay, so I'm speaking today representing kind of a little coalition, and we are called Free Food Fridge Atlanta. Free Fruit, I can't say it, but anyway, it's a collective of neighbors intent on setting up refrigerators located in town Atlanta, stocked with fresh, free food for everyone. So our objective is to mitigate the food insecurity of Grant Park residents while also reducing food waste. And I think COVID and what's happening with kind of people's unemployment and all that, we're going to see a lot more need for this. So we are committed to setting up a community refrigerator enclosed in a shed, operated by volunteers, placed in the neighborhood. Next. Oh, thanks. Okay, and so this is a picture of kind of this is our Pinterest shed inspiration. So we're thinking we're going to make a shed in a similar quality level to this, but ours is not going to be nearly this big. So our refrigerator's not that big anyway, and our space is not that big. Our initial location, right now we're furthest along with conversations with Bennett's, and we are pursuing some other avenues as well, but right now that still is our initial location. So what we're looking to GP&A for is if we could go under the 501c3 umbrella, getting fiscal sponsorship, which is basically that people could do a tax-free donation to us as it would come through the neighborhood association. We're also looking for funding the monthly electricity expense of the refrigerator, and then just community outreach and publicity.
Next slide.
There we go. When I looked up the neighborhood association's mission, what I found on the website was the purpose is to help preserve and promote Grant Park as a viable community. So I really felt like that shows how the two could work really well together, and that the refrigerator is certainly falls under that mission. So that's all I have as far as a quick formal presentation. There's some other members that are of the coalition that are here for any questions. And be sure and look for us on Instagram if you're interested in more information as well.
Does anyone have any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, I'm good. All right, so I'm just curious. So to fall under the 501c3, so you do not have a 501c3, but you're wishing to go under the umbrella of the GP&A 501c3. Is that what I'm understanding?
That is correct.
All right. Do you have any legal representation?
We do not.
Okay. You would probably want to have an attorney look at this just to make sure that all of this, because you do not want to do anything that would jeopardize the GP&A's 501c3 status, and you would want to, you just want to have someone look at this to make sure that it is that you can indeed do this, because if you will, to your point of having the GP&A's mission protect you, if you will, to do this, the complexity of having a space that is not insured or other various things, you're getting into some weird area that I just think it'd be very proactive to have someone of a legal nature really give this an overview. And I would be inclined to, while you do this, table it and then come back next month once that's done.
Laura, this is Tacey Nkazi, I'm part of the Fridge Collective. I can speak a little bit to the concern that was raised.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let me start by saying I'm not a lawyer, so this is information. We have talked informally to people who would be able to tell us the legal situation with respect to the fridge. There's a couple of things that are important to note. On a national level, there is something that was originally called the Good Samaritan Act. It's since been changed in 2008. It's become the Federal Food Donation Act of 2008. And under that act, any agency, so you don't even have to be a 501c3, that is giving away food would only be held liable if the the issue was actually about malintent. So whoever was trying to pose any liability case against the organization would need to show malintent. That's on the federal level. And the
well, I don't think anyone suspects ill nature. I don't think that's the issue at all. So I don't.
No, but what I'm saying is that the liability, the bar for liability, is very, very high. That's my point.
Yes. Are there? I mean, do you have another neighborhood where this is happening that we could?
We do. We have several. But what I'm also trying to say is that legally, because you're asking a legal question, so I just want to respond.
Well, I'm not
to
an attorney, nor are you an attorney, so I don't ever like to speculate. That's why I was saying that attorneys.
But I'm only quoting like regulation code to you. I'm not actually giving
right.
you
And I'm just saying.
any.
So and that's why I'm just saying it'd be best to have an attorney do it, because we can go back and forth on code, I imagine, on various levels.
Well, I think that it's important to just raise the point that we really would need to show malintent for there to be any kind of a legal case in this situation. That's all I'm trying to say.
Right. I mean, that's fine. And again, I don't think anyone is holding anyone of any. I don't think there's any ill repute, shall we say, going on. I just think that it'd be very effective in the climate that we're in now to make sure, particularly with COVID-19, with all this, to make sure that we're just dotting all our I's and crossing all our T's and protecting both you and the organization.
Yeah, but I think it's important to understand that the code is quite clear on this, and that the code is, if you are, it includes Georgia code as well, by the way, that if you are working under a 501c3, this is Georgia code, there would again need to be a case of malintent. So the actual code says that the distributor shall not be subject to criminal penalty or civil damages arising from the condition of the food unless injuries caused by intentional misconduct. So that's the sort of bar that would have to be raised. And that's what my point is really, that the liability bar is very, very high. And this is a well-known issue for food fridges nationally, by the way.
That's fine. I mean, I just go back to the point of just, you know, you have a 501c3 that you know, that represents the entire neighborhood, and your intention is obviously noble and very good. It just behooves everyone to have a, you know, if you will, a legal perusal of the entire thing to make sure that all I's are dotted and T's are crossed again.
Well, you know, we are a small organization, and we're trying to get this out, but there are many other fridges, and I can definitely give you information about that. So.
That'd be great.
There is a proposal in the chat where a few people have asked for more time to review. Linda Metzger has a great point, which is why not appoint an ad hoc committee, which we could do with philanthropic. Does anybody want to chair it? Going once?
I nominate David.
David Mitchell he told me earlier today he is boarded out. Is there anybody who would like to do an ad hoc committee that can take this in, like we can take it to an attorney and look at liability and then present it next month for a vote?
There are attorneys that live in Grant Park. There's Steve Rothman who lives on Cherokee, does zoning issues. Paul Zuka went to law school. Trixie's husband is an attorney.
Linda, would you like to chair it?
Who did you ask that question to?
She answered in the chat.
Yeah,
Thank you, Linda.
I have a quick question just for clarification. Is the umbrella status, is that intended to be long-term, or is that until you just get registered as a 501c3?
The hope would be that this would be a long-term arrangement for this particular fridge.
Okay, because I know the umbrella status is often just temporary until a new charity can get established.
But it can also be as a test thing that then the Grant Park Neighborhood Association just folds it in. And the Chastain Park Conservancy has an umbrella organization where the Art Center, and it's forever, you know, they just, instead of spending the money to get their own, they just use the Conservancies.
Okay.
So it can be both. It is, I think it's most commonly not, but for something like this where it's going to be one refrigerator, it's, you know, like the organization is planning to do other ones, but Grant Park would only be this one refrigerator, you know, maybe two if they're in a different location in the neighborhood. So I think those are both the kind of the options, is either that it becomes a Grant Park Neighborhood Association thing.
Would somebody tell me the proposed location, please?
It's by Zeba's, Steve.
Thank you.
So we're working with Bennett's. They are talking to us about putting it on kind of their part of the property.
Can I make it the motion to table this until next month, given all the feedback, which is like literally coming through on my phone and in the chat, and let Linda get in touch with you, and then we can put together a committee that can go through all these questions and come back in September? Does anybody second that motion?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, let's table this until next month, where we'll have more information and we can put more information on social media.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on because we've literally been doing this since 7:30 and that's way too long. Okay, we have hats. You can see from here, very adorable, even though I don't look at any hat. So please buy them on our website, gpna.org. And Eliza Adams will personally